Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Alex. So I took a poll on Instagram and I asked you guys if you wanted to see Lizzo's recent look or Zendaya's recent look, and you voted for Zendaya. So that's what we're going to be doing. This is her makeup look from the SAG Awards this year. Super gorgeous. So we're gonna get right into it. I used my moisturizer. I've been using the Desi Skin Agua Fresca moisturizer. And then I had some dry patches in certain areas of my face. I kind of regret not using this everywhere. I used the MAC Radiance Primer essentially just in like those dry patches on my nose and around my mouth, and then to prep my under eyes for concealer. In retrospect, I definitely should have used it everywhere, maybe even extra, maybe even used my Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream in those areas. I'm gonna be priming my lids. I like to do this first when I'm like starting off my face. I prime my lids before I go in with concealer and powder and all that stuff so that it's all kind of like part of one thing. I don't know, it just, whatever. I just feel like it makes a difference. So I'm using the Hindash Canvas. I don't know what the name of these are. Something fluid, I think. I'm going to be color correcting underneath my eyes with my Pro Conceal. The base of this is going to be pretty similar to what I typically do. She's obviously wearing like red carpet makeup. There are certain things that I have to do for my skin, for instance, color correcting underneath my eyes that I'm not entirely sure if, you know, her makeup artist does. So there are certain steps that if they don't apply to you or if you don't want to do them, you can just skip. This has been my recent favorite foundation formula combo. I've been using Lisa Eldridge and Luminous Silk by Armani. I do think I used a little too, like I probably need to use a little bit more of the Lisa Eldridge and a little bit less of Armani because it did end up looking a little bit light on me, but that's not a problem. I ended up, like everything came together in the end when after like contour and bronzer and all of those things. So, Jecca Black and Tarte. Recently, because I get a lot of redness around my nose, I've been mixing these two to get my perfect color. Jecca Black makes it a little bit more like full coverage, a little heavier, and I don't know, for some reason I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna conceal with this today, so that's what I did. Now, I was peeling because of my tretinoin. It's a long story, I've been to the dermatologist, no worries. Probably not the best concealer. Probably should have used something a little bit creamier. So you do have to keep in mind your, like the state of your skin when you're doing this kind of a thing. In the end, like when we get to the end, you're gonna see the complexion really does look beautiful. But I mean, I'm peeling. So like there's really not a lot you can do to get around that. And I made some mistakes for my skin to begin with. I'll be contouring the way that I typically contour using my Fenty Matchstick in Amber. Trying to keep it a little bit more minimal. I did go in with like cream bronzer and it did end up looking like I was applying a lot. I know I vowed to stop drawing on my face, but here I am drawing on my face, you know what I mean? I know I've been talking about these secret brushes. I am currently blending with a secret brush. So that's all I'm gonna say for now. Just keep an eye out, you know what I'm saying? So blending, starting off with my contour. I'm going to be doing my typical trick for like a red carpet celebrity look where I build up, this is, maybe it's not small amounts. I went in with kind of a lot of bronzer here, mostly because my foundation was quite light, but I'm building up smaller amounts of creams. I am going to be going in and setting and finishing off with powder. So I'm just kind of keeping that in mind as I'm doing this. That's another thing that I noticed. I definitely should have like moisturized a little bit more because I had been wearing the Agua Fresca moisturizer for like hours. So my skin could have used a little bit more moisture before I did this. So that's just something to keep in mind if you are interested in like doing something red carpet-ish or like going real glam, you know what I mean? I toned down the lip contour and the nose contour a little bit to kind of just kept them as like, okay, very, very, very slight shadows. The nose contour, I wasn't like so crazy about making it look like super duper straight. I kind of just like went in and then did a lot of blending. and kind of like embraced that bump that I have in the middle of my nose that makes it impossible for me to make my nose look super straight. I was like, screw it. I did decide to go in with a little bit of powder, especially underneath my eyes, which when I was looking at the reference photo, her under eyes were pretty bright. So I went in with a little bit more of the Tarte concealer. This is in Light Sand. It's the creamy concealer. So I went in with a tiny bit more of that and then set with the e.l.f. Halo Glow powder. Just a small amount, focused it there. Then for the rest of the face, I'm just going in and setting with my like powder contour from Wayne Goss. This is the Radiance Boosting Face Palette. I went in first, set all of the contour areas. One of the nice things about this look actually is that like her eyes, her face is really like, it's like they focused on the base and then just kind of like added little touches here and there at the end. So your contour and your blush really make the statement as far as eyes. Like you're bringing all of the face products essentially into the eyes. Going in and setting with bronzer. I use this one from Wayne Goss because it's quite luminous. So obviously, I'm peeling in the center of my face. I don't want the rest of my face to look dry. You know what I mean? So just building up that color, making sure that this is all going to last and make an impact. Obviously gotta hydrate with Auric. Doing the same thing for my nose, but again, just kind of setting, not intensifying too much. And then she did have quite a bit of contour in the like inner part of her brow connecting to the top of her nose. So I'm gonna use that same contour powder from Wayne Goss to create the structure of the eye. This is something that I do for like the majority of my looks anyway, but that's really what it looked like for her. Now, obviously Zendaya and I have incredibly different skin tones. So her makeup artist was probably using bronzer. I'm using contour just because of how fair I am. I think my bronzer probably would have ended up looking too orange. Now, I don't know if there was anything really on her lower lash line, but I decided to go in with a tiny bit just for me, for my anatomy. And then I'm setting my lids with just a small amount of the e.l.f. Halo Glow powder, just to make sure that the base is set. I did end up going in with a little bit of this Charlotte Tilbury brightening powder because I had oil coming through, but I was like, I don't want to use powder because I'm peeling. It was a whole mess. I have been loving this Tarte blush. It'll be linked down below. I don't know the name of it. Gorgeous. Perfect for like spring and summer. And it looked so perfect. It looked like it matched her reference photo so much. So I'm really going in with the blush because it was definitely a statement of the skin. So really working that into like the tops of the cheekbones, bringing it onto the apples of the cheeks, making sure that I'm blending into that bronzer, going back in with my sponge. Just want to make sure everything is like pressed into the skin and blended. Then I'm bringing it up onto my temples because it looked like it was like kind of glowing all around her face. And then I'm using that same rougher eye brush and buffing that over top of the contour. So shaping first with the contour, then going in and kind of just buffing like over the lid, over the contour, crease, and then kind of blending it out into the temple, essentially. It's a really, really pretty, simple look. Very nice to be able to just use like all of your face products for the eyes. I ran a little bit of that underneath my lower lash line. I don't know if she had it, but I thought it looked pretty. For my highlighter, I'm using Wet n Wild. What was that, Blossom Glow? She had like there was a low light photo of the makeup and she had like a very pink, like almost fluorescent highlighter. So I thought that this would be a good match for that. I'm just hitting all of the high points of the face, obviously. I mean, come on, highlighter. You don't need to do the tip of your nose, but again, I was following her look. It was hard to tell if any of this was on the lid, so I just kind of left it simple. Now that all my base is done, I'm going in and doing a little bit of spot concealing, which maybe helped. You know what I mean? Trying to make my skin look like I'm not peeling. I'm grabbing these two neon shades from, I think it's the Radioactive palette from Melt. I mixed them because she has this pop of like almost a fluorescent greeny yellow As soon as I mixed them and I put them down, I was like, oh, this is too neon. So I mixed in a little bit of the white shade from the Hindash Beautopsy palette, which toned it down a little bit. Now again, I'm super fair, so this is going to look a little more intense on me. Hers had some shimmer though, so I'm going back in with my Rare Beauty highlighter over top just a teeny bit to add like a little bit of a glimmer. I'm gonna set my face with De-Slick from Urban Decay. Gotta make sure that dries with my Patrick Ta fan, which matches my background perfectly, by the way. And then for my brows, hers looked like they were filled in with powder, so I'm using Anastasia Beverly Hills Powder Duo in Ash Brown. And her brows are pretty like straight. They're not super arched, they're not super skinny. So I just kind of like filled in my brows from like, you know, front to tail, I guess, with the powder. Then I went in with my Paris soap, like usual, and set them. Now, my favorite way to do this is to brush them forward so you get the product kind of everywhere, then brush them up and out. Something I noticed about her brows is that they were like pretty straight on the top. So I'm straightening all those brows that I like brushed up. So brushing up and then kind of like rounding out that top so they're not like too fluffy. I don't know if it's necessarily my favorite look, but it's what she had going, so I thought I would give it a shot. Now I'm going in with my rougher lash curler. I usually do like a few passes, and then I'm using the Tower 28 mascara because I am going to be going in with falsies. So she had some individuals in the look. So I don't bother using a waterproof mascara when I'm gonna be like supplementing my lashes with falsies. And this is just, it's a nice, I think it's a tubing mascara, I can't remember. Now that my soap is dry, I'm filling in the rest of my brows with the Melt Perfectionist Brow Pen, which is like a kind of a universal sort of like ashy brown. So I'm basically just going in and filling in the sparse areas and then just extending the tail a little bit. Tried to keep the shape as much as like hers as possible. The lashes I'm using are a collaboration with Swede by Nikki Makeup. She had these like little things that were clusters. They were like clusters of like 3, 2, and then 1, like tiny little ones. So I went in with 1 of the 3, 2 of the 2, I think, and then 1, if that makes any sense, on the top. And I don't think that that's what they used for her, but I think it worked. Then I have these ones from Tati Lashes, which her like lower lash line didn't have any mascara. She just had these little kind of like pointy lashes. So I just had to cut mine because I didn't have anything that looked like that. They're not exact, like the way that I did it. It's not exact, but I think it ended up making pretty much the same effect. So yeah, I think there were like 5 placed on each. So I used pretty much the same sizes for the 4 inner, and then I used a slightly larger size for that very outer corner lash, which this took such a long time. Just like placement, waiting for glue to get tacky. Clearly I was being impatient. For my lips, I went in with NYX Nude Beige to begin with. And then I think I went in with a little bit of something else from Makeup Forever, which I will link, but the footage got cut out, so you're not gonna see that. But once I finished the lip liner, then I went in with these 2, I mixed them, they're from e.l.f., these matte lipsticks that are so nice. I went with a more pinky one, and then went over top with a more like kind of orangey shade. And I love the color, but it was a little bit dark for the overall look. So after I cleaned up my edges, I went in with just like a bit of the Lisa Eldridge foundation right in the center so that I could lighten it up a little bit, because I did know that I wanted to go in with a gloss. So for my gloss, I'm using this new one from Lisa Eldridge. Again, it'll be linked down below because I don't know the name. And I just applied it with a brush to go over top to add a little bit of a gloss and like a little bit of a pink effect. Yeah. So this is the finished look, you guys. I absolutely love how like soft and pretty. I love that like there's so many colors that are just kind of like brought in from the face products. But then it really makes that statement, and you have that nice contrast between like that soft, pretty like pink, and then all of a sudden you kind of have this like almost punk kind of hard, like juxtaposition with the neon inner corner and then those like pointy lower lashes. So I loved it. I loved doing it. It was so much fun. Definitely wish that my skin was not peeling. If it wasn't, I definitely think it would have been a little bit better. But I hope you enjoyed. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Be sure to leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, turn on notifications, all that bull. Yeah, let me know what you want to see next. If you have any other like celebrity recreations that you want to see. You know what I'm saying? That's it, you guys. And then I really wanted to include this. I literally take mirror selfies at the end and I never do anything with them. Look at this bitch. I can't. Bye.